socially powered. And basically, it started helping small businesses with their social. So primarily Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest. I did it all. And
Forgot about Pinterest. That's an interesting one.
right. What's funny is I actually don't do anything on Pinterest anymore because what I realized quickly, well, probably not as quickly enough as I would have liked, but what I realized is that trying to do it all is a lot. So I've kind of dialed back, and primarily the platforms that I focus on today are still Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Instagram is by far my favorite platform of all of them, but I still participate and help people with the others as well.
And if I wanted some help with my MySpace page, you're the one to call.
Right. Yes. I actually. What is funny is I was on MySpace back in the day. Like it was, one of the first. So yeah.
Okay. So I know we've discussed that our audience is a lot of salespeople that have a lot or need a lot more social media presence, likely across all platforms. I don't know that you and I discussed this over the summer, but obviously we both had interactions with Gary Vee. Who certainly has a handle on a lot of this stuff, and he said something to me at a conference last fall about how much social media content needs to be out there, what the future of people doing real estate and mortgages and selling cars and insurance and financial planning is going to look like. Certainly, with all of our voice controlled activity, whether it's Google, Alexa, so on and so forth.
Mine will go off.
Right? Yeah, mine too. I don't keep an Alexa in my office, in my home office here. She would have heard that in the office. But what kinds of things did you see when you first really got into social media that a lot of individuals or small businesses were doing when it came to solid social media content?
Well, I'll use something that I know Gary Vee does like to talk about a lot. In fact, I saw an article recently. I'd have to go look for it, but that he's talking about repurposing your content. So basically, making one main piece of content, and then repurposing that across all the other platforms. So it could be that, for example, you guys could use this video, and then you put that, obviously it's going out on Facebook, you're putting it on YouTube. You may take snippets of it, break it up into 10-minute pieces, and put it on IGTV, break it down even further, and put it in 1-minute clips. And then you can use that on your regular feed in Instagram. You can use that on Instagram stories. You can take it down even further and take out like little tips. Since this is just the tips, you can take out those tips and put them into a Word format or an image and share them on Twitter. Same thing on Facebook. So, and then you may want to even, put this on your blog. So,
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, we're big subscribers to that theory, that philosophy, and obviously we find that to be very smart content. So, as an example, we run this 30-minute show once a week. It eventually becomes a 30-minute podcast. It does,
I don't know why I didn't even think of podcasts.
Yeah, we strip out the video, keep the audio, run it as a podcast. We will run it on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, IGTV. Jen will strip out a number of tips and create graphics of them. So I would say one 30-minute episode of our show, for those of you that are watching, one 30-minute episode may very well turn into several dozen pieces of content spread across all social media platforms. So what Erin is saying is spot on. And it does make that process easier. Now, I don't want to scare anybody in the audience because it certainly scared me, it scared Jen, it scared some of the colleagues I was with when Gary said this. But he actually suggested that you have 40 pieces of content out on social media across all platforms a day.
That's crazy.
That was crazy, and I think we strive for like half that, maybe. And don't get me wrong, there's some balances in there depending on what industry you're in, what you do in your spare time, what kinds of things you're putting out there for people to get to know you and not just what you do. But obviously, there's a balance when it comes to, is the content interesting? Is it refreshing? Are you losing your audience rather than gaining a bigger one? Those kinds of things. But that was what Gary said to us, was 40 pieces of content a day across all platforms.
I was trying to look over here and find that. He did a great article on exactly how to break it all down, but of course now I can't find it.
Well, nonetheless, that's probably an easy Google search for those of you watching. There's a ton of great content from Gary out there, no question. We are certainly big supporters and promoters of the kinds of things that he does and teaches when it comes to good social media marketing, certainly for small businesses, individuals that are either in loan originations, real estate, whatever the case may be. So, Erin, what do you think is valuable? What else is valuable for people to be doing today? What else should people in those?
One thing I was going to say is that a lot of times, and I feel like telling somebody, you should be doing a 30-minute video, maybe you don't necessarily have to do 30 minutes. I mean, that to me seems, it could be more daunting. So, I mean, even if you were doing like 5 to 10-minute videos, that can still be beneficial. If you're scared of video, and you don't want to put your face on the camera, which a lot of people are, you could just do audio. And there's tons of resources. In fact, I don't know if you guys know about Anchor. Have you guys heard of Anchor?
I have not.
Anchor is it's a free app, and you can basically just talk into your phone and then turn it into a podcast. So, I mean, that's a great alternative if you are scared of being on camera, or if you just, you're like not feeling good that day, and you don't want to put your face on camera. You can just talk into your phone, and that's another great way to get that content out there.
Yeah, and we see a lot of instances where the video piece will actually just be graphics, and our coaching client would basically narrate the video so that there is actually a video piece. But yeah, absolutely. The number one objection we get when we get into the video module stuff of our coaching program is that I don't like the way I look and sound on camera.
Yep.
And of course, those of you watching,
sound of their own voice.
Right. Well, those of you watching that go, oh yeah, that's me. That's how you look and sound in person. I'm sorry. I've got news for you. That's actually how you look and sound. So do you want to look and sound that way one-on-one, or do you want to look and sound that way 1,000-on-1? So yeah, I implore you, if you guys are in that arena where you are uncomfortable doing video because you don't like how you look and sound on camera, just start doing it. Get over you don't even have to watch your own videos. Don't. But I promise you other people will.
Well, and the thing I was going to say too is that the great thing about it is that the more that you do it, the better you become.
Oh, so, absolutely.
Right? Like if you start and you think, oh my gosh, that was horrible. I can't tell you how many videos I have out there that I'm like super embarrassed by. But the more you do it, the better you get, the better you sound. I mean, it's just like everything you do.
Yeah, great. All right, well, let's focus on some of these things that you really love embedding yourself in. IG obviously being one of them.
Yeah.
What do you think is, where are the people in our audience going to get the best traction? Is it out of their wall? Is that what we're still calling it? Out of stories? Out of IGTV? How should those blend? I mean, what kinds of things do you see people getting good success out of?
It depends on what type of content you're creating.
Okay.
Now, if you're doing videos, then 100% you should be putting those on IGTV, but then also breaking them down and putting, the 60 seconds on your feed, and then also putting that into your story. So what you really want to do is kind of tease people on the story to get them to go watch the full thing on IGTV.
Okay.
And I 100% believe in stories for attracting new audiences and getting people to pay attention. So I actually just spoke on Instagram a couple weeks ago, and it's kind of interesting because it was multifamily, so a little bit different, but still kind of similar to I think who your audience is. Um, but one of the things that we were talking about was Instagram doing away with likes and how to kind of beat that on the algorithm. And what I found from research and kind of looking into, why Instagram is doing that is they're doing it to stop bullying on Instagram. That's the main reason they are getting away or doing away with the likes, which I still have likes. I don't know about you guys. But basically what I found that helps you to beat the algorithm is if you get boosted or you'll be seen more often if you are able to keep people on Instagram longer. And the way that you do that is by having all these different kind of resources for keep like basically use Instagram in every way possible. So it's use IGTV, it's be posting on the feed consistently. It's use Instagram stories and then go live on Instagram. That's how you keep people there. The other thing you want to make sure that you're doing is providing engaging content. So, like, you want in your feed, every single post that you post should give them a specific call to action. And that call to action doesn't have to be really that call to action. You want them to stay on Instagram, not taking them off. So like if you're saying see link in bio and then that link in bio takes them to your website, that's Instagram is not going to reward you for that. You want that call to action to be either double tap this post or comment and respond on this post. Like you want people engaging. The more people engage on your post, again, the higher Instagram's gonna move that post up. It could be like in your stories where you're saying, "Hey, go check out or learn more about this by watching my IGTV that I just posted." So basically, you're trying to keep them in that Instagram loop for
Okay.
as long as you possibly can.
So, as we'd expect, there are a ton of similarities in the algorithm and edge rank practices in Instagram as there are in Facebook, especially now that we're not even hiding the fact that it is Facebook. And for
Right.
those of you that haven't been paying attention, when you open up Instagram now, it even says by Facebook. That
And
it is
I
all
every
theirs.
time I see that, I'm like, I kind of giggle to myself because they actually did that.
Well, and it's funny because there's never been any inquiry from any government entity or anything like that about IG, but certainly about Facebook. So it's kind of a unique arena. But for those of you watching, know that the algorithms are going to have similar kinds of practices, obviously, especially being the same company, that you are going to want to do things that are going to improve your edge rank, like making sure you're not steering traffic away from Instagram. That's certainly a no-no. Those posts are going to be suppressed more often. Same thing with Facebook. Do not do things that are going to enable the audience to leave Facebook. Facebook doesn't want people leaving Facebook. Instagram doesn't want people leaving Instagram. But there are obviously a number of components here that have different impacts on the algorithm to affect your Instagram edge rank than the Facebook edge rank. Can you give us some insight? Because we know very, very little. We talk a lot about the messenger platform in Facebook, how it's heavy in the algorithm. It'll improve your edge rank. More people will see more of your posts if you use the messenger. And if memory serves now, Instagram has its own messaging platform.
Well, so direct messages for sure.
Right.
Um,
But I think they've
but
got a messenger chat app. I can't remember what it's called. Jen, help us out. Threads.
Threads.
Instagram Threads. Thank you.
So I guess I'm not that familiar with that.
All right. And I don't think anybody is yet,
Is
and I
that
know that
in
it's
DR?
quirky. Well, I know Jen put the app on my phone.
Wait, say that again.
It's a separate app completely now, and it's
How do I not know this?
linked to your whoever you have. They just launched it a couple months ago. Maybe it was September, Adam, right around when we did our conference. It separates your messages that are with those that you've labeled as your close friends. It doesn't have a lot of activity yet. You can also update them on your location.
I did actually download it.
Automatically.
You downloaded it? Okay. Same, and I still have no idea what to do with it, but I've got to assume that using Threads impacts impacts the algorithm, your edge rank in Instagram. So for those of you that are looking to put more content out on IG, things that you're going to do to have those pieces of social media content out there, pay attention to Threads, because that may make a big impact on the algorithm, impact your edge ranks, so that more people see more of your posts, more of your stories, more of your IGTV, that kind of thing. But yeah, I would guess that the science behind it is going to be relatively similar to Facebook, just because it is now Facebook. I could be wrong, but for those of you watching, that's going to be an experimentation process for all of us this year.
I actually, like I said, I downloaded it, but I never finished actually doing anything.
Same.
I will, in my defense, I've been traveling a whole lot and been out of the country, so I've been a little bit behind the times on all that stuff. But I will say this: one of the things that I talk about a lot when I'm, talking about interacting and engaging on Instagram, and one of those things is that I'm sure you guys know this, but they offer the close friends feature within Instagram. So I'm assuming Threads is kind of along those same lines, and it really just depends on how you want to use it. But one of the things that I always suggest to business owners is that don't think of that as like connecting with your actual close friends. Use that more as a business tool and use that for your VIP customers or people that you want to be your VIP customers or who you're trying to bring into your sphere, and you can offer them special deals, special events, things that you're not necessarily offering to everyone.
Oh, that's brilliant. Your very best clients, leads, and advocates.
Exactly.
That is brilliant stuff. Good tip right there. Thank you, Erin.
Yeah.
And
so,
guys,
I assume you can use Threads that same way.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
you could probably, and I would expect that you have to set up those friends in IG in order to use them in Threads.
I just was looking at it, and I popped a couple people in there so I'll test it out.
But
so maybe we'll have to come back at another point and
we can do it. But that mentality,
once I know.
That mentality can translate across all these platforms. You could simply do that in Facebook with the Messenger app, in YouTube with that. There's a Messenger piece in there with LinkedIn, etc. So yeah, spending some time focusing, really exercising where your good ROI is on your best clients, leads, and advocates is really going to pay dividends that way when you're looking at those kinds of social media activities. So yeah, that's a freaking brilliant tip, Erin. Thank you.
Well, and so I think this goes along with everything we've been talking about, and that is, it truly is about engaging and having those communications with people online. So technically, you should be, anytime anybody's responding to you, you want to reply back to them across all platforms. So it's not a one-way conversation, right? Like you don't want to just be like constantly spewing out this content and then never responding or replying to people that are interacting with you.
Yeah.
I feel like I see that a lot. And I get it, like there's so many different platforms, there's so many different places that you can be, putting out your content, and going back to the Gary Vee thing, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's LinkedIn, there's Twitter, there's YouTube, there's Pinterest, there's your blog, there's, your podcast, there's all these different places. What I typically tell to people, especially if you're just getting started, is start with one or two. Like, you don't have to be everything everywhere. And I think the most important thing is to be effective and be doing it consistently on, those one or two places that you pick and that you like, but then also replying and responding and engaging on those
Sure.
places.
And
Like, you can't
whatever
do
it is you
everything
guys are
everywhere.
doing, constant and consistent has to be part of the formula. But Aaron, and I think I have a handle on this, but how do they identify which is the first one or two to start working with? How do I know?
Right, that's a great question. I base it on the ones that I like, because if I don't like being on a platform, then that's like work,
Yeah.
right? But if I don't mind getting on Instagram a few times a day. In fact, I like it. Um, there's other platforms that aren't my favorite. Like Twitter is one of those that I dread it, and primarily just because it's just constant, right? Like you can't. I don't feel like I can ever be caught up on Twitter. Whereas on Instagram, I feel like I can get to a point that I'm like, okay, I've kind of seen everything. I'm good. I can get off of there now. Whereas, Twitter, it's like every second you've got 20 new posts.
More content. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's really important to pick ones that you like, and then you also want to consider where the people are that you're trying to talk to. Which platforms are they on?
Yeah.
So
Okay. So again, audience.
yes,
So, absolutely, one of the things you guys have to consider, no matter what kind of work you're going to do on social media, be it video or podcast or graphics or just raw copy, whatever the case may be, obviously, audience first. That's once you're able to identify that, you'll be able to narrow down what kind of content, because you want people to watch you, to listen to you, to see your posts. So, what kinds of things are they going to want to see, watch, listen to? So yeah, I would agree with Erin there. You have got to identify your audience, but I hadn't really considered that. Yeah, you better focus on the social media platforms that you like using, because otherwise, one, you won't use it,
right.
or two, it'll come across that you don't like using it. Yeah, and that's also a brilliant tip. All right, so Erin, what do you think the future looks like for social media? What kind of things are we going to see in the coming years?
Well, that's actually something I've been starting to talk about a lot more, and that is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, but blockchain and cryptocurrency. So there are a whole lot of new social media platforms that are based on blockchain. So I truly think that at some point people are going to get sick of the fact that everybody's looking at your data and selling it and sharing it, and nothing is secure anymore. And we've got alternatives that are similar to current platforms that you get to keep your privacy. And so I've been using some of them. I'll just name a couple. So there's Karma, that is very similar to Instagram. It's very image focused and has a very similar feel to Instagram. Um, there's an app called Bravo that is kind of the alternative to Yelp, where you can leave reviews on restaurants and hotels, and actually it goes even further and lets you leave reviews on like movies and books and podcasts and events. Um, there's a couple alternatives to Facebook, but none of them have really done a great job yet. I think we'll get there, and I think one or two will kind of rise to the top. There's one called SoMe. It's SOMEE.social. There is Minds.com. There's another one called Voice that I'm not. It hasn't launched yet, but we've been kind of talking about it. I'm trying to think what else is out there. There's a couple Twitter alternatives. Telegram is one of those. I actually use Telegram quite a bit. There's another one, Chirp, that is not really out there yet, but it's really new. Um, there's a new one called Library, LBRY, that's a competition to YouTube,
Oh.
which is interesting because YouTube actually just, they had an oopsie and took down, like, I don't remember what the number was. I think it was somewhere around 100 different crypto accounts. So all these like big names that were talking about blockchain and cryptocurrency, their accounts got shut down
Oh, by accident.
by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how many accidents happen.
Them all, but yeah.
Okay. So, and don't get me wrong, I've never been opposed to what goes on in the pseudo privacy violations for things like social media. I don't have to pay for it. That's a big deal to me. I don't have to pay to get on Facebook or Google or whatever. And I know that they're doing a lot of data gathering for mostly the purposes of targeted advertising and those kinds of things, which I know I'm going to have to suffer the advertising. I would prefer it be targeted. If I'm having a conversation and the Facebook Messenger app microphone is listening about buying a bicycle for my son, and then I start seeing bicycle ads in Facebook, I think that's a little more productive than me getting on Facebook and seeing ads for tampons. I'm not really that audience. So I do really appreciate that if I'm going to have to suffer through it, that the benefits I'm gaining are one, it's free, and two, that at least the ads are relatively well targeted. And they are, for those of you that have any, question about whether or not they are, those ads are really well targeted. The dollars and technology being spent and exhausted on making sure that you are seeing targeted ads in your social media stuff would blow your mind. It would blow my mind, and I focus on it. So, yeah, don't fool yourself there. But, Erin, you think that a lot of the social media audiences are going to start turning towards a more privacy focused interest. That we want to have our privacy protected better and better as we go down future years in social media.
I 100% think so. I think that people are tired of Big Brother knowing and watching everything.
Everything.
And I think that honestly, I think that we'll probably learn more about things that they're doing that we're like, oh my god, I can't believe they're doing that. I think more and more will come out, and I think people are already starting to not participate in some of the platforms. I know, like for example, people a lot younger than me have maybe they may have set up a Facebook account at some point, but they don't use it now. Like I know, for example, my one of my friend's daughters, she's like 21. Um, she has a Facebook account from when she was, like junior high, but she's never on that. So I think that people a lot younger will not ever have a Facebook account. They may have an Instagram account, but you see them, they're already, everybody's on TikTok and, Snapchat. And I just feel like Facebook has kind of run its course, and eventually it will go away.
Well, I think they'll all go away. I think that's just the way that technology turns. I
Right.
think email's a dying medium, those kinds of things.
Same thing like MySpace.
Oh, sure. There's a great example. What was Google's attempt?
Yeah, yeah. Google Plus, that's gone.
Right. And I would actually be really curious to know if Facebook's audience is still growing or if it is shrinking.
It's not. It's
really
declining.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff. I'm sure Mark is upset about that, but fortunately for him, he's got Instagram to fall back on.
He's got everything else. He's got Instagram and WhatsApp. And...
Yep. Indeed. All right, so as we expected when we started this, 30 minutes was going to whip by. And I certainly want to make sure that we get credit where credit is due, because a lot of our audience is likely going to be looking for help in their social media work. And I know that that's a lot of what you do. So let's make sure that we get all the important information on how they can reach out to you. And Jen will put that into the video content. So how do we find you, Erin?
I'm pretty easy to be found. On all the platforms at Socially Powered.
Oh, at Socially Powered. That is really easy. Okay. Do bear in mind that a lot of our audience is going to be juvenile with this kind of stuff. So give us something more in a carrier pigeon fashion, a phone number, an email address, something to that effect.
Email is just Erin at sociallypowered.com. That's probably the best way to reach me, just because I travel a lot, so sometimes phone is more challenging, just because if I'm not in the country, then I'm probably not having service.
So, Erin, despite a couple of initial technical glitches in getting this video, this live broadcast off, this has been amazing. Thank you. And I told you we were only going to be able to scratch the surface of what you know and what you've experienced and what our audience needs to be exercising in social media. I hope we can have you back for a sequel.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely. I was just going to throw in one last little bit of the future.
Please.
And I feel like a lot of the future is going to be moving towards like the AI and virtual reality type stuff, especially in the housing and real estate industry, because you can actually feel like you're visiting or viewing a house from the comfort of your home. Like, you don't have to necessarily get in the car and physically drive to that place.
Sure, and we're seeing more and more of that emerge for sure. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the real estate world is going to see a lot more VR in the future than it is even now. And I know a lot about Matterport and those kinds of things, the 3D video and online walkthroughs and those kinds of things. But yeah, I think it will advance considerably further in a short time. Yeah, that's really good. All right, well, Erin, thank you for joining us. I'll make sure we get you on the books for another episode later this year.
Awesome.
For those of you watching, thank you, either live or in syndication and on whatever platform. We appreciate it. If you want more information about us, myself, Jen, Just the Tips, if you want a copy of my book, Just the Tips, whatever, use that text code at the bottom of the screen. Text TIPS to 63566. Erin, don't go anywhere. I'm going to run the extra and we'll be right back.
Awesome.